Okay, so again, I want to just talk about these problems, and then we'll get to today's lesson. Today's lesson is kind of easy. I was trying to tell the other class guys, look, we have a ERBs next week, so we can't do a whole lot next week. I'm going to try to help you with your ERBs, so that's a good thing. I'm also going to try to help you get prepared for your entrance exams. Those of you guys are going to private schools, you need to be ready for those. I will show you how to do that. Also, there are, the 9 weeks because of, ERBs and because of exam and exam review. We have a very short window here. All right, so there's not going to be a lot of opportunity. So I'm trying not to stress you out. So I'm trying to tell you, do the work. All right, just do the work every day. All right, and the test you won't have to worry about. All right, that is the key. Do the work every day and ask me a question. Participate in class. As soon as you don't know something, ask. I still want to help everybody. All right, but if you just sit there, I can't help you. If you don't do the homework, I can't help you. All right, these last questions were pulled directly off of SAT tests and ACT tests just so I could show you how simple things are. All right, so that being said, please follow along. These were a little bit harder. I want you to do them. All right. So with that being said, everybody's on now number 17. All right, Mr. Pika.
Yeah.
All right, I'm closing down some of you. All right, so number 17, obviously the correct answer was
169.
yeah, square root of 169. I feel like they should have put 13 down, but they didn't. Now your job right now is to say, okay, I know everybody got H, but I did not. Does anybody need any assistance with me showing you how to do number 17? That's exactly what we did in class, so that shouldn't have been a problem. All right, now number 18 can occur on your test that you're going to take when you go into your private school. Now, I'm not expecting you to know how to do this, but if you had a calculator, you could have said, well, I don't know how to do it, so I'm going to try it on my calculator. But what I do want everybody to understand is that 9 to the 1/2 power is the same as the square root of 9. I'd like everybody to write that. And then I'd like you to write the square root of 16 parentheses squared. That's what I'd like. So now what's the square root of 9?
3.
What's the square root of 16?
4.
What's 3 plus 4? And then 7 squared. There you go. If you got C, please give yourself a check. Good job.
I'm awesome.
All right. Now, again, please look, listen, I mean it. I don't want to give you any problems. All right, here we go. Number 19 now. X cubed equals 64. We haven't done the cube root. I didn't teach you really the cube root of both sides, but you're supposed to say, well, what number times itself is 64? 3 times. What is it?
So I plugged it into my calculator with that, and x equals 4.
Yes, x equals 4.
And you plug that into the right, which means 4 to the 2nd power plus radical 4 equals.
That's exactly correct, guys.
Yeah.
4 cubed is 64. So now we've discovered what x is. You just plug it in.
Yep.
All right. So that just becomes 16 plus 2. Good job. Give yourself another check if you got it right. All right. Now, number 20 was like question number 20, the last one on the SAT test, which was supposed to be difficult. All right. Was anybody able to get 20? Somebody tell me. Ooh, Alden, tell me. 5. So I've got x equals 5 so far. Somebody else. No one else got this problem. Yes, Grace. X equals, say it again. Good, 25. Yes, ma'am. Wow. X equals 100. Believe it or not, I am really proud of you, girl. That is correct. 100. All right. Now, again, those of you guys who got 5 and 25, I'm happy with that also. All right, I'm really happy. All right, you gave it a shot. All right, you didn't sit and stare at it and say, I don't have any idea. All right, so now let's break this one down because this one's a little hard. What does A equal again, guys?
5.
5 radical 2. So I'm going to replace this right here in for A.
Oh.
So now that means 2 parentheses 5 radical 2 equals radical 2x. Now this was from the last test. What's 2 times 5? So this is 10 radical 2 equals radical 2x. Now, how do I undo a radical? Square both sides. Brilliant. Now, notice I'm putting parentheses in a square right here.
Oh my gosh, that makes sense.
So now what happens to the radical and the square? What happens to these two things? They cancel. So I have 2x. Now over here, what's 10 squared?
100.
100. What's the square root of 2 squared? 2. Perfect. Now slow down and make sure you understand me. Anybody want me to say anything on that? That's not the answer yet, of course.
Quick question. Why didn't the 2 become radical 4?
It is. What's radical 4?
Oh, wait, that makes sense.
All right, now multiply 100 times 2, which is 200. And now we divide both sides by 2. So x is equal to 100. Very good. Very good. All right. Anybody need any help with that? All right. If you know that, you're in outstanding shape. All right, now 21. This is an SAT problem, believe it or not. I don't understand it, but it's an SAT question. What is that answer? Obviously, everybody.
A.
A. Now, look, for those of you guys who didn't do these, didn't try them, come on now. That's simple. Anybody need me to say anything about 30 or 21? Anybody need help on 21? All right, here we go. Let's take a look at 22. Now, here, again, listen carefully. All right, we can do the math, but I also want to tell you, because ERBs are coming up, when you take standardized tests, a lot of times, if you don't know, you can just plug the numbers in. So instead of doing all the math, I'm just going to plug 1 in right here.
Oh, I did the math.
What is 1 minus 3? What is 1 minus 3? We're not parrots. -2. Can a square root equal a negative? No, it cannot. So is 1 an answer?
No.
So I can cross out 1. As soon as I cross out 1, I go to the answer choices. Well, I know it's not A, and I know it's not C. So now I'm plugging in 9. When I plug in 9 here, and when I plug in 9 here, what's 4 times 9?
36.
What's the square root of 36? 6. What is 9 minus 3?
6.
So is that an answer?
Yes.
Wow. So 9 is correct. So the correct answer after all that was B.
I feel bad that I did the work now.
Yep. Again, that's what happens a lot on standardized tests. Sometimes it's easier just to look at the answers and plug them in. Much faster. All right. Now, I want to take a look at 23. All right. So here, the volume is 24 pi. So I want everybody to write 24 pi. It was kind of them because they gave us the what? They gave us the formula. So 24 pi is equal to 1/3 times pi. We don't know what r is, but we know the height is what? We know the height is 2. All right. So now I was talking to my last class. How do I get rid of multiplying by 2? So now I'm going to put over here 12 pi equals 1/3 pi r squared. How do I get rid of 1/3? Multiply by 3. What's 12 pi times 3?
36 pi.
So 36 pi equals pi r squared. How do I get rid of pi?
Pi by pi.
And what happens?
36 equals r squared.
Yes, 36 equals r squared. So the radius must have been what?
12. I'm kidding, it's 6.
The radius is 6. That's just working backwards. That's all there is to it. Again, give yourself a good little check on that one if you got that right. All right. Working backwards. All right, 24. X is 9. So square root of k plus 2 minus 9 equals 0. Now I'm hoping everybody can in here just look at that and say, obviously the answer is what?
D.
Obviously the answer is D. Now how do we know that? Because what's 79 plus 2?
81.
What's square root of 81? 9. 9 minus 9, 0. That's an SAT question, believe it or not. Is everybody with me on that? Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Why did they even bother putting these questions?
I can't tell you. It's just embarrassing to me. All right, it should be a little bit harder than that to get to college. All right. So now, same principle here, guys. Instead of doing all the math, I'm just going to do what? Plug them in. So I want everybody to put an 8 here, and I want everybody to put an 8 here. What's 8 plus 28? What's 8 plus 1? What's square root of 36?
6.
What's square root of 9? 2 times 3. Yeah, I honestly, guys, and I'm not trying to be funny, I just don't understand. I don't understand how anybody can miss that. You agree with me? Simple, right? Simple, simple. Anybody have any questions now? I really like reviewing those problems just to show you the importance of square roots. All right, the importance of square roots. All right, and the other thing is, I'm hoping some of you are willing to ask me a question now. Remember, we only have 8 weeks left. Trying to get you ready. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to download tonight's work, which is solving quadratics by taking the square roots. All right. And again, this is not that difficult either. All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want you to look and it says solve each equation by what first? Factoring. So this is just a quick review of how to do factoring on 2 through 8 evens. We're practicing our factoring. All right. ERBs next week. I'm sure they're going to ask you about factoring. All right. Your entrance exam for sure will ask you about factoring. All right. So I need everybody to look at number 2. Everyone should be able to quickly at this point in your life be able to look at that and say, obviously that factors to what? X plus 5 times x plus 1. Anybody have any issues with that being x plus 5, x plus 1? Now from there, you're allowed to just tell me the answer. Anybody have any issues? Anybody have any issues with number 2? All right, number 4. I need help with the factors of 72 that makes 17. 8 and 9, right? So everybody should be able to look at that and say that factors to x minus 8, x minus 9. Okay. Anybody have any issues with 4? All right, so now let's talk about number 6. Yep, here we go. set up your parentheses, 5x and x plus 2 plus 7. Of course, we're not going to trust him. How much is this? And this is how much?
You fool.
Shh, shh, shh. Come on. And altogether that makes, so is everybody good with that? So that factors properly now. So now to solve this, we would say x equals -2/5 or -7. Thank you.
Great, so
Now look at number 8. A little bit harder, but let's give it a shot. 6x squared is what? 3x and 2x. We'll start with that. Now I have a problem because 8 can't be 4 or 2 because there's no place for the 4 and the 2 to go. Do you agree? So now it has to be 8 and 1. So where does the 8 have to go?
left,
On the left. And 1 has to go where?
right?
On the right. So now we do our smiley face. How much is this? How much is this?
3, so it works, but we have to make the 1 positive and the 8 negative.
8 negative, 1 positive. Beautiful. Now, does anybody need me to slow down on that and show you again? So now everybody should be able to just look at that and say x equals 8/3 or x equals -1/2. All right, so that's just a review of factoring.
Easy.
All right, now the new lesson right here, the new lesson. All right, start with number 10. Off to the side, I'm going to show you one little quick thing.
Wait, what's new about this?
If I say to you x squared equals 25, how do I solve that?
X equals square root.
Square root. Now, how many solutions should there be?
1.
How many solutions should there be?
1.
2, because the fundamental theorem of algebra says that the exponent tells you the number of solutions. So there are 2 solutions. What are the 2 solutions?
5, -5.
X is equal to plus or minus 5. Now, why is -5 included here? Because -5 squared is positive 25.
Right.
All right, that's what I need you to understand. So whenever you have an equation with just x squared, there's always going to be 2 solutions. All right, but the first rule is the new topic, there will just be an x squared term. There will be no x term. So we have to isolate the x squared like we're solving for x. So your first step is to divide, or not divide, but subtract 6. So everybody's going to subtract 6. So 9x squared equals 729. Now we do what? Divide by 9. X squared equals 81. So now what?
Square root it.
Square root. So x is equal to plus or minus 9. X equals plus or minus 9. So I promise you today is super simple. Super simple.
But this is just,
All right.
that's what we were doing.
Yep. Here we go. Next. Number 12. What am I going to do first? Move the 8.
Come on, Mr. Shaw, I'm actually legitimately confused. Why are we doing this?
I don't know what you're asking.
We did this as part of the other problem. We're just putting a plus or minus instead of a, like, this is what we did for factoring, where we had to find 2 answers. But why?
Yeah, because before there was always an x involved. All right, there is no middle term. All right, so the quickest way is to just isolate the square. So now what do I have to do? Divide by 81. So I have x squared equals 64 over 81. Now what do I do? Square root. So x equals plus or minus. What's square root of 64? What's square root of 81? There you have it. Anybody have any issues? All right, let's try 14. What do I have to do first? Add 12. Very good. 3x squared equals 36. Then what? So x squared equals 12. Now, it doesn't always have to be a perfect square. So now I take the square root of both sides. Now we already know, or you should know, we've done it a million times, is, thank you very much, plus or minus 2 radical 3. You shouldn't even recognize the square root of 12. Your brain should just be saying that's just 2 radical 3. All right? Anybody need any help with that? All right, here we go. Now, what do I have to do first on 16? Minus 27. So negative 9x squared equals negative 153. Divide by 9, or negative 9x squared equals,
Negative x squared. Wait, never mind.
No,
sorry.
you divide by
Sorry.
negative 9.
I'm asking you what 153 divided by 9 is. I don't think so.
17.
I think it's 17. And now we take the square root. Can we break the square root of 17 down?
No.
So we just leave it. Plus or minus the square root of 17. Very easy. All right, now we're combining terms just like we used to. So move this over here and that becomes,
2x.
then I move this over here and that becomes,
46.
Wait, what?
46.
146. And now what?
Stop it.
1x squared equals 73.
All right.
So then x.
Now 73 does not break down. So we just say plus or minus square root 73.
We don't like that plus or minus, is it wrong?
Yes, it is.
Right, I'm gonna have to look at that one.
Now, what helped me remember it was this exponent tells me the number of solutions.
Right.
All right. So on number 20, here we go. Mentally, you should be able to move this over and make that
5x 7.
5x squared, then move this over.
35.
How much? 85 or 95?
85.
All right. And then x squared equals
17. No.
17 again.
Yeah. Wait. Oh no. 17.
And so now,
X equals square root of 17.
nope,
X equals plus or minus radical 17.
plus or minus radical 17.
I'm really gonna have to look at that.
All right, here we go. 22. Okay, a little bit different, not much. Pay attention. What do I have to do first?
Excuse me.
So that's going to be how much when I move the negative 19?
No, it's wrong.
100, that is correct. Now I'm going to take the square root of both sides. What's the square root of 100 again? Nope,
No, square root of 100 is 10.
nope,
Plus or minus 10.
plus or minus 10. Now I have to do what? Add 1. So now I want everybody to write 1 plus or minus 10. Everybody write 1 plus or minus 10. Now, we don't leave it like this because you can combine terms. So what we do is we say x equals, what is 1 plus 10?
I think it's 11.
Then we're asking the question after that, x equals 1 minus 10. All right, so all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to show you how you handle the plus or minus. All right, it's 1 plus 10 and 1 minus 10. You don't have to write the workout like I did. I was just emphasizing That's how I came up with those answers. All right, anybody have any issues? All right, so what am I doing first now? Adding 3. So everybody's going to write x plus 2 squared equals 15. Then you take the square root. X plus 2 equals plus or minus radical 15. That is correct. Square root of 15 does not break down because it doesn't have a perfect square. Now I move the what? 2. So x equals -2 plus or minus the square root of 15. Now, can I combine those? No, because one is rational and the other is irrational. All right, now that one's a little bit trickier. So does anybody have any questions? All right, a couple more to go. Let's see how we're doing. So what am I doing on 26? And what does that become?
45.
45. Come on now, everybody participate. Now I have to do what? Now, again, we've done 45 enough. You should be able to look at 45 and say that breaks down to, thank you, plus or minus 3 radical 5. And then finally, we do what? Move over the 2. So x equals 2 plus or minus 3 radical 5. Anybody? These are the answers. These are the only correct answers. Everything else is wrong. First thing I have to do is what? So that becomes 32 because you have to add, right? Now I'm going to do what? Square root. Now, of course, we've done the square root of 32 100 times. So everybody should be able to look at the square root of 32 and just say that is. Good job. Plus or minus? Plus or minus 4 radical 2. Now I move the what? So 4x equals -5 plus or minus 4 radical 2. Final step. So x is equal to, please watch, -5 plus or minus 4 radical 2 all over 4. That is the correct answer. Starting to look a little bit more complicated, but it's not.
Yeah, it's sort of stuff.
Same thing. All right, so for number 30, I have to do what first? 6x plus 3 squared equals 2. Now what? 6x plus 3 equals? Nope. Wow, Alden. Feels good, doesn't it? Plus or minus radical 2. From there, I do what? 6x equals -3 plus or minus the square root of 2. From there,
X is equal to -3 plus or minus radical 2 over 6.
all over 6.
You guys are smart. You're smart too. Guys.
All right, does anybody have any doubts about that? All right, now again, as you go down, obviously it got a little bit harder. All right, that's why I designed the worksheet. Look, 27 and 28 are kind of related. 29 and 30 are kind of related. 25 and 26 are related. All right, if you get stuck on something, look at the one to the right or look at the one to the left. All right, the factoring is really important. All right, so that's why we started out reviewing the factor. All right, anybody have any questions? All right, tomorrow's going to be a nice day because we're going to just review some ERB stuff and strategies, okay? So nothing new for tomorrow. Please, I'm begging some of you, please do the work. Do the work, all right? Don't take shortcuts, all right? You got lots of opportunities coming up where you're going to have to show people you know something, all right? You got to practice, all right? Take care of business. Thank you very much. That was a great job.
We're all